Okay. Well, welcome to the Prolific Pulse Poetry Podcast. We're really happy today to have Linwood Jackson Jr. He's an author and poet writing on personal devotional health. He is someone who believes in the power of the Bible's words when sincerely exercised and studied. Through his books, speeches, and discourses, he encourages to think and feel for the self's growth and development, and that self-love may bloom into self-possession through the knowledge acquired from experience. This, he says, betters the personal and devotional life, not only for the person, but also for those around them. So my first question, first of all, welcome.
Thank you.
It's great to have you here today. So where are you from? Where am I talking to you from?
Massachusetts.
Massachusetts. Okay.
Massachusetts, yeah.
Is that your home state? Have you always lived there?
I've always lived there my entire life, and I'm kind of happy because I like the cold.
Okay.
Hopefully it's not because I was born in February, but I just
Uh,
I just love the scenery of, there's no trees but snow falling, and the snow's covering the trees and the ground, and I sleep so much better when it's cold anyways.
mhm. Does that contribute to your writing to have that kind of environment?
I think it does because there's times where I would just dead cold, I would still go to a beach and just sit there and just look at the scenery. And
Mm-hmm.
it's definitely inspirational. Even when you're driving, I'm driving 7 in the morning, I'm just looking around, the sun piercing through the trees that have snow covered on them, and that sort of ray just shooting through right onto the street as I'm driving.
Yeah.
That's inspirational also.
You actually speak in prose. I don't know if you realize that. But as you
I
just described that, that was a poem you just spoke.
I did not realize that.
Yeah, well, it's just a natural thing, I suppose. I mean, in reading your work, I can see how that could be because your poetry is, to me, it speaks kind of natural. It's like having a conversation.
Yep.
You have questions that you're asking, and then you're trying to answer those questions through your poem. It's almost like sitting down and having coffee with a friend and trying to, pick their brain and see what's going on with their life. That's what I got out of your poetry.
That's exactly how I view poetry. Whenever I do write, I like to write to answer my own questions.
Hmm.
Not necessarily like, okay, so this is the answer. I'm just gonna go with this first thought. It's like I like to sit down and I like to kind of, question myself and prod myself.
Right.
I like to get in there into that mind of mine and to understand why am I perceiving this the way that I perceive it. And if I'm
Hmm.
not perceiving it this way, how come I'm not? And so when I
Right.
when I when I do write, I love that it's like a conversation as you're reading it because I want the reader to know that I'm there with you and what you're seeing a scene, you're seeing a play. And I
Hmm.
want that the person's mind to see that play and to review that play and to take what they take from it.
Right. Now, do you do journaling?
I do, but I don't like to call it journaling.
Hmm.
I mean, I do and I don't because I like to call it examination, even though that is journaling. Still, like
Hmm.
critical reflection is what I like to do. Again, that's still journaling, but I, I like to just reflect and
Hmm.
not necessarily journal because when I think of journal, I don't think of answers. I think of,
Right.
halfway answers. I think of solutions that can get me over until the next time I journal. But
Hmm.
when I do write, I like to reflect to the point where I don't want to come back to this topic. And if I do, something new has to happen for me to come back to it.
Right. Right. Yeah, I will confess I'm not much of a journaler either. Um, with Artist Way, I did the morning pages, and I did find those to be helpful, but um, have not gotten into the habit. I'd rather sit down and just start writing something and maybe become a poem. You just never know.
Yeah,
So I can certainly relate to that. Now, I know that you are a believer, and that you use, the power of the Bible with your words. You can see that in your poetry. Can you tell a little bit about your faith journey? How did you come to this point in life?
it began with an inquiry into love, what the definition of love is. And the kind of romantic form of love that we all know uh, isn't quite that satisfying. And
Hmm.
then the other side of romantic love where you're involved with yourself isn't really that deep either. And that's where I kind of wanted to find out if this isn't satisfying me and that's not satisfying me, what is this concept of love? And there's different philosophies out there and there's different religions out there that get to the point of their understanding of love. It didn't satisfy me, so I
Hmm.
never was really brought up religious, but still had a mindset. So I just picked up the Bible. If love is in this, I need you to help me see that love is in this. I picked it up and I learned that the definition, which is a clear definition and one that I agree with. You know, I do a lot of research from Hebrew and Greek back into the English to make the sentences of the Bible make more sense. And
Oh,
plus, there's
wow.
more errors in the Bible than there are actually real sentences because the translators didn't really grasp the context of what the content meant. So there's
Hmm.
more errors in the Bible. So I take those errors, I put the applied language to them, and from there I get a better definition. And
That's a
so
very in-depth research.
yeah, and it's because of the need to
Hmm.
know love,
To get the answers from
to
that.
get the answer. Yeah, and well, what I found is that Eastern philosophy that's within the Bible, which is it's conflicted because the Christian religion is a Western tradition. It's a
Hmm.
Western religious tradition that claims itself to be from the Bible, but the Bible is an Eastern set of minds that wrote it. Kind of disassociates from the Western standpoint, which is a self-centered sort of religion.
Hmm.
And what I found within the Bible is the definition of love being edification, uh,
Hmm.
personal, mental, devotional edification that leads to public benevolence, edifying the viewer of our character.
Right.
So finding that definition of love, it put me on the track of where I needed to be, and my poems reflect my experience in that definition of love, which is
Okay.
completely tragic. Self-reflection for self-possession. It's a
Hmm.
tragic experience, but it leads to a butterfly effect. Not
Hmm.
that negative butterfly effect, the positive where it's growing from a caterpillar,
Hmm.
and the cocoon caterpillar, and then the wings, and then flying off.
Right. Right. Well, that really pretty well puts it in a nutshell. That really is a great explanation of how that, you know, how I tend to view the Bible, and I'm more um, into the personal relationship and understanding about love in that way and
Yep.
how we live our life. One of the philosophers who's passed on now is Leo Basaya. I don't know if you ever heard of him, but he wrote the book called Love, and the principles that he talked about in the book. He actually taught a college course on love called the Love Class, and
Wow.
the way he explained it was just as if he was explaining how Jesus walked the earth and how we can incorporate that in our lives. The way that Jesus loved is the way that we can also learn to love. And that really, he's still to this day my favorite author because of his philosophy. So congruent with my own. So, but this isn't about me. But I just thought about Leo, that I'd mention him. Now, I would love to hear your poetry. So maybe if you don't mind, if you could share a poem with us.
I do not mind. I'll take this from my current book of poetry. And let's see, I will call to action the poem Rare. So, rare, your light and dark hair, your thick and soft skin, your sure and intelligent hands and feet, your strong legs, your nourishing breasts, your wise lips, your understanding eyes, the rare shape and structure of your form, the course of your tongue, the benevolence of your thighs, the comfort of your arms means nothing to the essence of your person, or the revelation of your disposition, the beauty of your individuality, the allure of your mind. I love you, my love. I love every part of you. I love you, my spirit, my soul's greater portion. I love every part of you, and I love what you are not. Isn't this love? Have you never edified me? Have I never seen who you are? Am I ignorant of your ugliness? Have you never let me understand you? That you are complicated because you love, and because you love, you are complicated. My dedication to you is authentic. My devotion to your lips is real, because although you are imperfect, you remember my frailty, and because of your response to your weakness, and of your thoughts towards my condition, I am inclined to make your essence lighter, and to edify myself on how to do so. Love works. Love balances. If we never took turns in gauging humility, we would fail. But more than the feeling of pain and of embarrassment is the memory of pain and the memory of embarrassment, watering the heart to sprout a garden of mindfulness, keeping the person aware of love. You are rare because of your love spirit. Your love is developed. Your love is recovering. Your affection is genuine. You naturally care. I admire you, my love. I admire you because of your thoughtful generosity. Where can a man find such a woman? What man has such a woman? On earth, you'll never find her. Under the earth, you won't see her. If looking above the earth, you will be deceived. If born without her, you have no hope. I died with you, and when you awoke, you put your mouth on mine, and your hand ever so gently on my face, and gave me your breath, opening my eyes, and made love to me. But what is greater than death's sensation? What is greater than warmth? What about the memory of your spouse? How imperfect they are to console their error. Isn't this true comfort? Isn't this what love is made of? How am I mindful of this and no other man is? How am I mindful of this and no other woman is? Everywhere and in every place there are women, yet none of them knows the meaning of humility. Everywhere and in every place there are women, and none are wise to love. The species born to love and born to feel, and more than their opposite, do not know or have knowledge on true and timeless affection. My heart is broken. My heart is broken for earth's condition, because there are no women, there is no sound counsel. I have seen many women, and yet continue to do so, and with all that I have seen from every place, none know the meaning of being still, being compromised by a love within their nature. But when I look at you, my love, I can see that you are rare, being no different from what I do see, but being mindful of your nature to instruct it. Because you instruct you, you can instruct me, and because I learn from you, I can be who I truly am, so that you can never be ashamed of what you are. My wife, feel my love, and continually regenerate. Show your face, and let me love you. Let me love you because you love you. Let me love you because I love me. Let's make love because we are love, and let's create love because we are spirit. Rare.
Thank you. That is deep, deep and meaningful. And what kind of feedback have you had for that poem?
I've had positive feedback, and especially from women that read my poetry and they see the heartbreak of a male who has, first of all, seen a strong female, a mother. And the first feedback is your mother should be so proud of you for writing something like this. And the second feedback is the way that you interpret, or the way that your mind works when depicting the male-female relationship, and when depicting human nature in a way that's raw, because and it picks up that the language that I'm using is not literal. So
Mhm.
the people that have read it, and especially the women, they realize that I'm not talking about an actual male and an actual female,
Mhm.
and which to me is the most beautiful thing, because
Right.
the entire dialogue is a conversation or a view on the relationship between my heart and my mind.
Mhm.
So, the male, that's my heart, but the female is my mind.
Mhm.
So seeing the two and getting the illustration of the two and hearing my audience even understand that I'm not talking about anything that's, concrete, it's beautiful. And to me, that's what I want to do in my poetry. I want to
Yeah.
extend the definitions beyond what you're seeing.
Mhm. That's the type of poem that you could read over and over again, and probably each time you'll get a little bit different meaning from it,
That's what I
which
want.
that's, to me, that's good poetry. If I don't read a poem at least 3 times, I haven't given it credit. I
Oh
have
man,
to, I have to really,
but it's so true
dig
though.
into it. Yeah.
It's so true though.
Yeah. I mean, I'm the same way when I write my own poetry. I go over and over and over it. I can't even tell you how many times I look at my poems and change and move and do. And then once in a while, you get just something that just comes out, and you don't want to change much of any of it. But you know, of course, we're our own self-critic. So, how often do you write poetry? How much of a habit is it of yours?
At least weekly or bi-weekly.
Mhm.
I move based off of feeling. So I can never just sit down and go, okay, today's Tuesday at 3:25 p.m. I'm gonna just sit down and write poetry for the next 6,000 minutes.
Mhm.
But even when I do try that, and I'm just like, I need to write something now because I feel something, nothing comes out. So
Right.
I wait until, the feeling is just like, you need to get this out. And when that
Mhm.
feeling comes, weekly or bi-weekly, I let it flow.
Okay. Sounds real familiar to me as well. I have a muse that comes about 3 o'clock in the morning to me and starts talking poetry. I've written entire poems in my head at 3 o'clock in the morning,
Wow.
and then, but if I actually got up and wrote them down, I'd be like probably be a muddled mess. Um, but I'll write little notes about them, to remind me to write a little bit more about that when I'm more awake. But yeah, it seems to me, and I've heard other people say they've had that happen too, about between 3 and 4 in the morning. It's like wake up to some kind of epiphany of something they want to write about. So, do you ever have
I
that
watch,
happen to you?
yeah, I have. And I was just gonna say, I watch, I don't really listen to music like I used to, back in
Mhm.
2010, like modern music, but I do listen to the interviews that the artists conduct just because I
Mhm.
relate with their experience. And I
Right.
remember watching an interview one time of Michael Jackson,
Hmm.
and they asked him about his inspiration. How do you write? And one of the things that he said that has always stuck with me is when you feel a line inside of you, or when you have a vision of a line inside of you, or when you have a word inside of you, you need to get up and write.
Hmm.
You
Yeah.
like, and that's literally that has stuck with me my
Hmm.
entire ever since I've heard that,
Yeah.
because his thing was, when you have it, don't waste it because you'll never get it again, or
Exactly.
it'll go someplace and it'll be manipulated the next time you get down and write it.
Hmm.
So even
Yeah.
if you do remember to write it, so he says, if you ever have anything inside of you, in your mind, if you're ever in your heart, if you're whatever you're doing, stop what you're doing and write.
Hmm.
And that I I can say that. So I agree with your experience with that, and that what he says is always stuck with me. So
Hmm.
when I do have any sort of inspiration to write any kind of poetry, I I literally stop what I'm doing and I just write.
It's
I
just
mean,
right.
it'll be one sentence, and I will not get to that sentence until a month later, or
Hmm.
maybe until 2 weeks later. But that sentence is there, and when I see it, the inspiration is there for me to continue it.
Hmm.
So that's
Exactly.
another thing. That's another thing that I do if I'm not moving off of feeling, whether I'm walking somewhere or driving somewhere and I have a line in my head, or I see something that sparks something, I just write it down.
Hmm.
I don't even waste it anymore because I used to, until I saw that interview, and
Right.
I related with that so much. So now I
Hmm.
just write, and even if I don't get to it, it's there. And I know that when I
Exactly.
go back to it, it'll just be like water
Hmm.
flowing.
Yep. Totally relatable. Absolutely. Do you have any kind of music that you like to listen to when you write? Or
I like complete quietness.
mm-hmm.
I truly like complete quietness. But if I do listen to music, the majority of my music now is just instrumentals,
Mm-hmm.
from classical or any kind of YouTube suggestion that YouTube thinks I would like. Literally, I don't even know the music anymore, and I just listen to it. And if it meshes, it meshes. If not, it doesn't. But when I'm
Mm-hmm.
writing, I can't do noise.
Yeah, I go back and forth. Sometimes there's a YouTube jazz channel that just plays the instrumental, soft jazz, and I listen to that sometimes if I'm just kind of sitting there trying to think about things to write. But more and more, the older I get, the more silent I like it. So I just go in my little space and block out the world. I've even put headphones on it, nothing listening, just to block out everything else. How about
I
another
I
one of your
I,
poems?
I
I'm
will.
sorry.
I was gonna say I love the same. I'm doing the same silence. I just need to. I need my noise.
Mm-hmm.
The noise in my mind. The voices.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. I need the voices. The voices in
Right.
my mind, and I
Mm-hmm.
need to talk to them, and I need to hear them so that I can get what's out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, the next one from my book I will do is called Communion. I know only pain because of you. My heart hurts from your form. I have you today, and I'll have you tonight, but then we part, and I am left sorry, unable to rationalize my world. Tonight I have you, and tomorrow I hold you, but then we part, becoming contemporaries, yet individual to life's context. My inwards burn for your breath, my mouth thirsts for your taste, my body itches for your moisture, my limbs miss your members. You're not always here, as I am not always there. And I hope you know my fear, I hope you know my desire, I hope you feel my loss. I pray you know my fever. I hope you feel our separation. I hope you know my mind, so that you can know my love, so that you can see my honesty. I hope you die of sorrow. I hope you are sick of love when we are not together, when we are apart. I hope that you die of a broken heart. I hope that you are grieved when you're alone, when you are without me, as I know only depression and gloom when I am without you. I hope you know my love, that it is deeper than the sea, it is wider than the sky, as intelligent as the universe. I hope you know my love. I hope you understand my affection, that it is deeper than flesh, that it is as bountiful as the air, and as infinite as kindness. When we are apart, I hope you fail of life. I hope misery surrounds you. I hope depression consumes you. I hope anxiety covers you. I hope need worries you. I hope you know this love, so that the next time we meet and the next time we speak, we may soberly embrace, so that we may love entirely. My wife, my heart, the joy of my conscience, never leave me, never be quiet. My wife, my heart, the life of my conscience, when we are apart, I hope you know the pain I feel, so that when we meet again, we may enjoy creating memories. That was communion.
That's beautiful. One can only hope for that kind of love, that type of companionship that would cause someone to almost die of a broken heart if they weren't there anymore.
And that's the beauty of it. To me, that sort of companionship, it takes a stepping outside of self,
Mm-hmm.
and that's to get to that. I personally believe that it takes one knowing themselves and letting go of themselves, and then recapturing themselves to be able to shower someone else, and especially the mind of someone else in that sort of way.
Right. You have to get out past that, all of that. I'm going to share my screen for a moment and show your poetry book that you've been reading from. It's called Growth. Let's see, it came out in July of 2020. How did you come up with the title Growth?
The book is basically each one of these poems, even though it's a short book of poetry, I began writing this poetry, this type of poetry 9 years ago. So like 9 years later, I just published it. And when I was thinking about what each poem was about, it was basically my growth as an individual, learning how to love myself and learning how to cope with the fact that I don't know how to love myself and I have to relearn. So I thought, why not growth? Like and then the image is to me like the perfect image because it's the embrace of the concept, mind and heart, embracing one another and supporting one another. And it's sort of like who's consoling who at this point and who is more sorry for whatever they're going through at that point. So I thought that the image plus the title just was so suitable.
Yes. Now, the image, did you do that?
I didn't. I had an artist, Fatima Azar. She's brilliant, brilliant artist. She actually just finished another cover for me for another book I'm going to be releasing fairly soon.
Oh.
It's, yeah, not a book of poetry. I'm going back to my normal research type books, and this specific book, the subject is mental and devotional growth, and how do we get it as it's stated within the philosophy of the Bible, and not necessarily what any religion connected to the Bible would have it taught as.
Okay.
So getting to the reality of the definition of mindful growth and mindful justification, how the Bible teaches it, and how it can be practically applied.
Sounds interesting. Now, you also look your blog. You can go to linwoodjacksonjr.com, and you've got the blog Live Your Best Life. I like that picture of you there. And also
Cartoon me.
Cartoon you, and the website. And I really like that as well. It's very nicely done. Very good taste.
Thank you.
Let me go back to not sharing my screen. Second. There we go. Now we're back to us. How about taking us out with one more poem?
Sure. Let's see. Okay. As I am. Seems like a fitting exit. What am I without your embrace? What am I at all? Am I at all? I fail to exist without your arms. I am ignorant without your tongue. I am lame without your legs. I am blind without your eyes. I am miserable without your heart. I am poor without your hair. I am naked without your lips. So long as I am without you, I am not. So long as I am without you, I fail. You have taught me love, how to pour it out, how to drink it. And must I not know you? Must I live without my love? Must I live without my love's love? Must my heart break for love? Must my heart break my love's love? Do you hate me? Have I wronged you? Why are you far from me? Why can't I hold you? I die for your scent. I live for your taste. I will die for your suppleness, just to wear your essence. My heart breaks for your attention. I need your laugh. For your voice is medicine, and I am still by it. As a river flowing through a forest, or as a pond, you are rightfully placed, and your sound, it is as perfect as the stars at night. My love, my wife, the spirit of my person, I am tired, I am terribly hurt, I am without thought. I pass away for my lacking. I see no thing, good or bad, Yet I feel all things and am tired. If I could have you, if I could know your warmth, my soul would have its shower, my mind would recover. If I could have you, if I could know your inwards, my heart would be instructed, my organs would be blessed. Therefore give me your time and your hand, lend it to me, because I waste myself for love. I cut myself for affection, I slay me for compassion, I chain you up for sorrow. Your love is not my love, but your love is better. It is better in love, which is why I need your love, to the end I may love me, and not as I wish, but as I ought. My wife, my beloved heart, although I am covered in blood, I am clean by your tears, and although my flesh boils, I am right by your kiss. My wife, the mother of my children, forgive my wrong, ignore my smell, but as I am, have me, come to me, because I am tired, I am hurt, as I am.
Thank you. Now, is there anything I haven't asked you that you'd like to share?
I would say the last thing is, I guess for the audience watching is, empathy. Empathize with not just yourself, but the people around you, and more, I would say, with yourself, so that you can get a feel for what another may be, going through internally. So I like to, my poetry is just based off of and trying to learn or trying to sympathize with myself for the natural uneducated culture that I have as a human being, and going through the experience of learning culture. So that route of empathy, I would say, take that route, and as you're going, apply it not just to you but to the people around you for a sort of human growth and developmental education. But I think you covered completely everything.
Okay. Okay, great. Glad to hear that. Well, thank you so much, Linwood, for coming on here today. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And may
Thank
all
you.
your words be speaking of poetry and your relationship with God. Thank you so much.
Thank you.